welcome to the after show for Just Us Thinking. This is the Origin Aftershow.
It is. The one and only.
All right.
I'm excited.
Are you guys ready?
All right. I can't wait to see what you have in store for us.
All right. So Origin Earth.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to kind of go through a couple things that we can prove without a shadow of a doubt. Okay. So we know here on Earth we like to fight over territory, right?
Right.
There's many wars, and they've been going on as long as humans been really on Earth.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
I can see that. Okay.
Okay. So we're not opposed to removing the people that are already there on that land to take it for ourselves. We've proven that over and over again.
Okay.
Every country's done it.
Yeah.
It's going on in Russia, Ukraine, Hamas, and Israel. Russia's been doing it. We've done it. You go back to the Native Americans. We said, off. Ours now. Get off.
Yeah.
Now we're not going to debate the right or wrong or any of these acts. That's not what the topic is.
Okay.
So, but we know we are kind of an invasive species, per se. Okay.
Fair enough.
So now, with that in mind, there's also several people that have written books on how humans survive, and basically the differences between men and women. Do you know what book I'm referring to?
No clue.
I feel like this is a trick question. Like, I probably know the answer, but I can't think of it right now.
I give you the start of it. It's men are from
Mars.
Women are from
Venus.
Okay.
Okay.
So men are from Mars and women are from Venus. It's kind of, it's something that has been said for a long time.
A long time.
Now, with that, and I'm going to ask you a couple questions here too as we go through.
Okay.
Do you've had a lot of family members that have been military, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember what branch they all were in?
Like, my dad was in the Air Force. My uncle was in the Air Force. My cousins were.
Okay, so they're all Air Force.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know on my grandpa's side there were some in the Army or Navy,
Okay.
one of the two.
So when you try and think back at some of the things that you were told as a kid that may have been passed down from your grandmother, their grandmother, and so on, the stories that you hear, those stories seem to lose a little bit of the details, right?
They do, yeah.
Now, certain names will stick around, certain things will stick around, but a lot of the smaller details kind of fade away, right?
They tend to, yeah.
Okay. So you agree with that, right, Mikey?
I can.
Okay. So, and don't worry, I'll tell you where we're going. This is we're painting. We're going to go down a path here.
Okay.
So, there's a lot of those little details that kind of get missed. Now, time, when we're talking about time is just a measurement. Okay.
Okay.
So we originally thought the pyramids were like a certain age. Okay. We later found out through other means that those pyramids now, the pyramids in Egypt, they're a lot older than we thought they were. Did you know that?
I can see that, yeah.
So now we also, the reason they thought that they were a certain age is that's when they found the hieroglyphics and all this, and they're like, well, this is for this king.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the king before him didn't put his name all over it, but...
Well, they didn't put the, what year it was when they
Right.
first started building it, probably.
No, they didn't. They there's
They didn't put their handprints in it.
No, there was no we were here 1625.
Yeah.
There was nothing like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a guess.
Okay.
it's not also hard to assume that those pyramids may have been a lot older, and then some other king came around and said, "Oh, yep, that's one's mine. I'm going to be buried in that one. That'll be my burial chamber." We have a habit of human beings kind of taking credit for some other people sometimes.
Yeah.
Just watch politics. They always take credit for whatever they can.
Yeah.
If it's good, they'll take credit for it. If it's bad, they blame the other guy. We're really good at that. Now, we're also very, very good at exaggerating, okay?
Yeah.
Humans exaggerate all the time.
They do.
If anybody in your family that's been fishing, then they say, "Oh man, you wouldn't believe the size of the fish I caught." Yeah. Generally those fish tails are always off.
Yeah. I remember hearing a lot of those too growing up.
Now, you'll hear stories from your friends bragging, and they're like, I still remember the story of my buddies driving around and they're doing stuff they shouldn't be doing, and they're going around a corner at like, you ask the one guy, it's like 90 miles an hour being held on by his pinky toe as he's hanging out of a window.
Yeah.
And then you ask the other guy, like, and even the other guy in that story is like, that story gets wilder and wilder every time he tells it. So we also, we kind of exaggerate a little bit.
We do.
So
yeah. I
when
think everybody does.
So when we're going through a lot of these, that we're going through, kind of keep that in mind in this whole what if series that we're going to be doing. So,
Okay.
All right. So we also, a few things that we know is we found microbes. We found signs of life on Mars.
Okay.
Okay. You both agree with that, right? I mean, science has come out with that.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
They found ice at the poles on Mars.
Oh, okay.
And they actually have like water beds where they could see where water used to be.
Huh. I
Okay.
did not know that. Okay, then.
So there's a lot of stuff. So they're now finding signs on life. They're saying Mars may have had an atmosphere right around 4 billion years ago.
Wow.
And the same with Venus. Venus would have had the same atmosphere about 4 billion years ago.
Okay.
So now scientists now in modern day, they're constantly scanning for asteroids that may be the big one that hits us, right? They're
Right.
always scanning. They can see these coming, right?
They can, yeah. Armageddon.
Right. we have movies, and we have the science, where we go out there and look and say, yeah, that one, and we can project the courses now.
Right.
So now this is where we're going to go a little bit off here. Okay, you ready? What if Mars had a civilization on it? Okay. Just what if?
I think that'd be kind of cool, actually.
Right.
Little Martian men running all over the place.
They had signs of life, right?
Yeah.
Venus did too. They said they had oceans. Now, did you say Martian men running all over the place? What the hell?
Okay, then.
Where did you go?
Martian men. That's where she went. Martian men.
Oh, my gosh. Little green goblins running all over the place.
You're assuming they're green. See now, you're just assuming now. But what if Mars had a population on it? What if they were almost as advanced as we are now,
Okay.
or getting to the point where we're at now? Right. It's safe to assume that if Venus had water and had signs of life around the same time, maybe both those planets were had people on it.
They
Yeah.
could have.
What would a Martian would be from Mars? Mm-hmm. What would be a Venusian from Venus?
Venetian.
Okay, so what if they had both these planets had life, and they had Earth here in the middle that had a bunch of dinosaurs on it, right? I'm serious. Dinosaurs existed, right?
Yeah.
So everything I'm saying is a possibility, right?
That is true.
Okay. Now, this is where you got to understand where exaggeration happens and where people lose some details. So, biblical studies, Okay.
Okay.
Who was the first man and woman?
Adam and Eve.
Okay, so Adam and Eve. You know the Adam and Eve story.
Kind of.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Do you know how many kids they had?
No.
Do you know how many kids they had?
No.
Oh, your deacon is not going to be happy with you.
Yeah, you know.
They had somewhere around 5 or 6 kids,
Okay.
mostly boys, 1 girl. Did you know that?
Wait. How?
He didn't know that, no.
No.
Yeah.
How did?
So now they're the first people on Earth, right? 255,000 years ago, about.
Okay.
Now, again, we're saying time as a measurement, but we're not 100% sure with the time scale. We're taking a kind of a guess for the measurement.
Right.
Okay, we're kind of eyeballing it. Okay, so yeah, they had, like 6 boys, 1 girl, or 5 boys, 1 girl, something like that. I'd have to look it up. I got to brush up on my my story there. The problem with that is, if you go with the origin story that they have given us, well, maybe doesn't sound like it doesn't fit with the narrative very well. Because we know what inbreeding in humans do.
Right.
We know the complications that happens with inbreeding and, breeding with a close relative.
Right.
In fact, it's illegal now, right?
I think so, yeah.
It is. In most states it's illegal.
He just
You-
blew his mind.
Yeah, you can't you can't marry the only time you can marry your cousin if you're in Alabama or Arkansas.
Yeah.
One of the two. And second cousins are still on the table in most states too. But your brothers and sisters. So what they're saying is the way this survived is Adam and Eve had a bunch of kids that had sex with each other. Okay?
Okay.
That I don't buy that narrative.
I don't either.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw an alternative for you here.
Okay.
So we know details over time gets lost, right?
Right.
So what happens if Mars and Venus are losing their atmosphere? They see they're like, yep, there's a meteor it's gonna impact us, so we're gonna be doomed. This is gonna destroy our planet. Okay, and I don't know if it was the same meteor or if it was a meteor shower that hit and that caused a problem with both planets.
Okay.
It's quite possible. So what do we do here? So right now, we have underground bunkers here on Earth, right?
We do.
So in case of nuclear fallout, we have fallout shelters, right?
Yeah.
Or we could go into the ground and basically hide from it, right?
Yeah.
So how do we know that the Martians and the Venetians didn't do the same thing? How do we know they didn't? As they started to get pelted, they decided, okay, we're going to go hunker underground, right?
Okay.
I mean, I guess that's a possibility. I don't know,
Okay.
what kind of building materials they had back then or over there.
They could have had the same that we have.
That's true.
So they
Okay.
have the 3 planets are very, very similar.
Okay.
Okay. So what if, and this is a big what if, I know. What if they knew that, okay, our atmosphere is going to get destroyed. That's going to get, this is going to hit Venus. Earth is on the other side. They're not going to get hit by this. So if Martians wanted it to come over to Earth and they didn't want to fight with dinosaurs, what's one of the best ways to get rid of dinosaurs?
Erupt a volcano.
Or just throw a couple nukes over there, right?
Yeah.
That too.
I can nuke the planet, cause a nuclear winter, kill off all the big dinosaurs, so I could maybe recalibrate the atmosphere a little bit more like what we're used to, right?
Mhm. Yeah, that's
Okay.
Yeah.
It's entirely possible,
It is possible, yeah. Okay.
because let's be honest, a couple of these big asteroids that were said to have hit the Earth, You're saying they hit the Earth and then all of a sudden they stopped.
Yeah.
So, and I get it over time. It's I understand there's a little bit of luck in there, but the theory here is Jupiter is our biggest guard out there for asteroids, because Jupiter has such a strong orbit that it pulls a lot of the bigger asteroids away from actually hitting Earth.
That's good to know.
So thank you, Jupiter, for all you've done.
Yes, thank you.
We like them so good, we put a ring around them.
We really appreciate it.
So now, end of times for the Martians and the Phoenicians, right?
Right.
So if they had this other planet that was like, well, that one still can sustain life. Mars, we're gonna send a spaceship out there. Our planet's doomed. It's dying. There's resources are dead now. We got to get off this rock. And they sent out a spaceship to Earth. Okay.
Okay.
And Venus did the same thing. They're like,
Okay.
"Yep, we're with you."
Oh,
All right.
Okay.
So
I
we
see
have
where
two-
you're going with this.
We have two spaceships heading here, right?
Yep.
The Mars spaceship.
The men from Mars and the women from Venus.
See, the spaceship from Mars
Yeah.
may have been called Adam,
Oh.
and the one from Venus may have been called Eve. That might have nothing to do with men on one planet and women on the other. Has everything to do with the name of the spaceship that brought them here.
Okay, now that I could actually buy.
You buy that?
I could buy that.
It would make sense. And then if they got here, once they landed and they started to settle, they didn't have all the resources that they had from the old planet. It's not like they could, let's hook up a U-Haul and move our stuff, right? You can't do that.
No.
So you're going to have a reset for these civilization restarting
Okay.
basically from scratch. Now, they may have still had some pretty good tech for the first couple hundred, maybe 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Maybe they had some really good tech that were able to help carve pyramids and get all that stuff done. Maybe they had some tech that, and unfortunately everything dies. I mean, we have cars now, but they don't last forever.
Right.
And eventually they're going to rust into absolutely nothing.
Our roads don't last forever either.
Right. So it would explain why things like degraded over time, and then they went to kind of a hunter-gatherer. They had it could have been rough for them at that time.
It probably was pretty rough now that you kind of
Mingled
go
with
down
a little,
that road.
mingle with a few little cavemen here and
Yeah.
there, and then you have a whole nother society.
Yeah.
It's not that far off, is it?
I guess not. No.
So when you're telling your kids, "Oh yeah, Eve brought us here," well, you're pointing at Eve, the spaceship, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's Eve. That's it." Well, imagine 10 generations removed from seeing that spaceship, and oh yeah, Eve brought us here. Oh, Eve, yeah, and then all of a sudden, now it's well, what created life on Earth? Well, Adam and Eve did. Adam and Eve created life on Earth. Well, that's how they got here. They forgot to mention that it was a spaceship. That detail got lost.
Okay, you know what? I could actually buy that. You know what? That's something I could actually see happening.
It's kind of logical if you go through the time frame. I could see where something like that could have happened. I really can. Especially because we've seen life on these other planets.
Yeah.
And we're look at what we're doing modern day. Look at modern day. We're trying to go back to Mars. As humans are trying to go back to Mars. There's something that says people, always are drawn back to where home.
That would make sense.
A good example is you moved to Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
You kind of had that call and come home, right?
Right.
Right. Now, I grew up in California. I love California. I'd love to go back to California. I probably won't live there again. I don't like a lot of the stuff they do there.
Yeah. I don't know how people in that state survive.
But I get that homesickness,
Yeah.
right? maybe that's why we want to go back to Mars.
Maybe.
Now, we're already saying, yeah, if we, if something happens here, if we're going to have underground bunkers to try to survive, right? Or we're going to try and, if we get a colony on Mars or the moon, we're already talking about leaving this planet.
Yeah.
Why, if someone had that technology back then and they saw a disaster coming, you're telling me that any of our people in the know, if our government heard that there is a catastrophic event coming, they have orders. They're going to go into a underground bunker somewhere,
Right.
and they're going to try to be safe.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's just a lot of that just kind of makes you think.
Makes you go,
So maybe we were a combination of some Martians and Venetians,
Yeah, we could be.
and now we're Earthlings. So maybe we were never on this rock in the beginning. Maybe it was all dinosaurs, and all of a sudden, we're like, yeah, we want that. So let's nuke them off of here. We tell me as a society it hasn't been done.
Well, that's true.
Russia's doing it right now. Russia goes back and says, yeah, that was ours. I want it back, and starts a war.
Yeah.
So humans have been doing it forever.
Way too long.
So what if we've been doing it for longer than we thought? Now, again, we don't know what the time measurement is, because we're having a hard time, dating things here on Earth. We're looking at those pyramids, we're like, well, they're this age. And then someone comes back and says, well, we found this. These are a lot older than we thought. So even with our own time measurement here, it's hard to gauge when something was built here. They have
Right.
no clue.
Yeah.
They know when the material was around, but that's part of Earth. I mean, we don't know. So when we say, yeah, they lost their atmosphere 4 billion years ago, we might be off by a few billion years. We don't know.
Possible. Yeah, I mean, it's very possible. So.
Yeah. We don't know what. We know that it's been around. We assume based off some evidence that we've seen, but it's also something that no one's actually been up there and say, yep, here's, we pulled, we dug into the moon, or we dug into Mars, or we dug into Venus. Venus we can't even get to. The surface is way too hot.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So something happened catastrophically there that just caused the whole place to burn.
Oh,
So that's how they lost their atmosphere. And with Mars, I think it was just their atmosphere got ripped away. And it very well could have been something hitting them, something like that. And we don't know what that erosion without that atmosphere would do as far as stripping things at a quicker rate, a slower rate. We just don't know. So, but you got guys like Elon Musk that says, yeah, if we nuke the north and south poles of Mars, that we can kind of release a lot of CO2 and a lot of stuff in that atmosphere that needs life, and we might be able to jumpstart the terraforming of Mars doing that.
that would definitely be interesting to see.
Right. Now, that means that if my theory here that I'm talking about is correct, we could come full circle.
We could.
We could come full circle where we may have, life on Mars. We have, the International Space Station. They're already talking about going out and who are the first people to colonize Mars. That's not a oh, wouldn't that be nice scenario. They're actually literally thinking about how it can be done.
Oh, wow.
So those aren't. That's not a pipe dream anymore. There's a possibility in the next 100 years, 200 years, that we're going to have colonies on Mars.
Wow.
It's quite possible.
Dang.
Did you know that, Mikey?
I did not.
Yeah, I mean, if you read a lot of stuff like that, there's that stuff that's their next step, which means there could be a point where in a couple 2,000 years, you have traffic that goes from Earth to Mars, and you'd have two civilizations going back and forth. It's a possibility, and we're actually seeing that that's a possibility.
Okay.
That's not a pipe dream. That's something that they're actually trying to do.
Wow.
It takes 6 months to get to Mars. They've gone through it where they're calculating how long it takes there and how quick they could do there and how long they'll have to be there. Right, I will tell you the first groups that go out there, probably never coming back.
Probably not.
But once we get enough people there, production there, and then once we start to build a way of getting them, with supplies off that planet, once we build an airport there, or a space station in this case,
Yeah.
and they're able to launch off, then that means traffic can go back and forth.
That would be pretty interesting.
How's that any different than what I said at the beginning about Mars and Venus?
Yeah.
Is it any different, Mikey?
No, it's not. That's weird. Okay then.
So it's just kind of one of my, and I want people just kind of expand their mind. I don't know if what I'm saying is, I don't have a magic globe that said, "Yep, this is what happened."
Your magic 8-ball.
I don't have a magic 8-ball. No, I'm just kind of giving you an example of maybe an alternative that is out there. Now, this also does not disprove a God in any way either.
Yeah.
I would say that God, or whoever you believe in, none of the scientific that happens disprove a God.
Right.
It just means that we could have came from somewhere else.
I mean, I
And-
guess it's always a possibility. I mean,
Yeah.
Who
So
knows?
I don't know. What do you think?
you just had to go down that rabbit hole again, didn't you?
I love that rabbit hole.
Oh, now I'm gonna be researching that stuff too. Now, thanks.
It's kind of crazy that our time frame is Mars and Venus both lost their atmospheres about 4 billion years ago.
Wow. Yeah,
That
is pretty crazy.
dinosaurs were 65 million years ago. When you start talking about billions of years, it's,
That's a lot of years.
yeah, we don't know if, we don't know. There's a lot of stuff we don't know. And the reason I'm bringing this kind of stuff up, and this will be a few of the stories going forward, is I don't want people just to dismiss it because they think it's a bunch of bull. I look and see if there's any kind of truth to what could be happening.
Yeah.
And it's okay to think this way. Now I don't want you to wear a tinfoil hat and run around as the sky is falling. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
But it's a creative way of thinking. Okay, it thinks outside the box.
Outside the box. Okay.
So, and that's kind of where I wanted to go. I wanted to go kind of way outside the box.
Way out there.
Because I will tell you, we did our reboot for our origin story.
Yeah.
Creative minds really go a lot further. Somewhere, Stan Lee was sitting in an office somewhere, and they were probably just BSing with each other and say, "Oh, you keep creating these superheroes. Why don't you create a superhero that no one will like? Make one out of spiders or something." He's like, "Okay."
Okay.
And he probably got challenged to create Spider-Man.
Okay.
No one likes spiders. I don't know a whole lot of people that like spiders.
Yeah.
Most people don't. So when you're saying, "Yeah, I'm going to create a Spider-Man," and I'm sure the first people are going to do, "What? A Spider-Man? Are you crazy? What is he going to do? Well, he's going to stick to walls." Can you imagine the original concept of that? And then building that as a creative spot?
That would be kind of interesting to see where, the process he went through to come up with that.
Exactly what I did today.
Yeah.
It's a creative idea that says, "Huh, I wonder how this would play out." And that's how you get a lot of movie ideas, book ideas. I mean, J.K. Rowling's.
That's how video games are made.
Yeah, you just have to kind of, you get a little creative. You come up with a story. Now, all good stories have to have a truth to them. Generally, even far-fetched stories come from somewhat of a truth. There are some truths to there. And that's what you're going to look for is when you're looking for something that could possibly be authentic. You have to look at the evidence that's presented to you.
Right.
Everything I gave you today points to how we have been and how we are always.
Yeah, that's a very, I mean, you make a very good point.
He does. He really does.
Kind of crazy, isn't it?
It is.
So,
but
now,
it's cool.
we're gonna do more of these. I really like this idea.
Okay.
This one's kind of like we're on the Origins. I figure I'd go that route with this one. We're gonna get probably a little bit weirder on a few of these. I'm gonna warn you now. But we're also going to look at evidence and possibilities. So all I'm saying is if you keep an open mind and just try to see it from another perspective.
Yeah.
You don't have to believe it. You don't have to. You say nope. That's not how it happened. I don't believe how that happened. You're fine.
Good for you. I mean, not everybody has to agree. So
right.
You know.
But I want to put it out there just as a ulterior path or kind of getting your creative juices flowing. More creative. I want more creativity this year. That's my New Year's kind of deal. I want more creativity because I'm getting tired of them rebooting Batman and killing, his parents. And I don't know how many more times I could see Uncle Ben die. I'm sorry. I want to see more creativity and new characters, new storylines. I'm sorry, Disney. I don't need a live action remake of something you already did.
Right.
Make something new. Get creative. Get your mind out of that crap that you keep doing over and over again, and get a little creative. Tell us, make a new Mars Venetian movie. I got your pilot episode right here.
Okay. Awesome.
So. How far off was I?
Not too far.
I didn't go too crazy on this one?
No.
Okay.
No, but I have a feeling you're going to get so much worse.
Oh yeah, there's some of these stories. Some of these stories are going to get crazy, and it's going to be tough to. A couple of these are tough. I'll be honest. We'll see.
It's going to be tough to keep a straight face.
Yeah.
So we're going to do our What If series, and then we're going to be doing a few more things. So.
Sounds good.
And then guests and all kinds of stuff. So
exactly. Yep. Hopefully we'll get a few more this year.
Mikey, you want to tell them where they could find us?
They can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeart,
Google Podcast while it's still out there.
Google Podcast.
Basically anywhere you can find podcasts, we're there. I believe we're also on Rumble.
We are on Rumble.
You can find us on Twitter.
Okay.
You can find us on
Facebook.
Or what is it now?
It is X.
Is
yeah.
it
X, Twitter, it's all the same thing. People use it. It's all the same.
X and Twitter is interchangeable.
Yep. And we're at Just Us Thinking, no G.
No G.
So at Just Us Thinking, you can follow us on Facebook, like us, heart us.
Give us a thumbs up.
Yep. You can see a lot of the other podcasts that I follow on there as well. Mm-hmm. Twitter, I think we're going to start doing a little more on Twitter and possibly Instagram and a few other things that we're working on. So
we'll be busy.
Yep. Mikey will be really busy because he's got a lot of things in the works for this year. So.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, I think that will be our show. I'm going to leave it on there.
Alrighty, bye everybody.